Hello, Math 7, coming to you live with the first lesson in our final chapter. Woo! Yay! Yay! Sorry about that. Today, our lesson is on the coordinate plane. Now, a couple lessons in this chapter, I'm going to use graph paper. Today's lesson, I highly recommend graph paper because we are going to be talking about graphs. So the coordinate plane, you guys are probably really familiar with this, but we're just going to get at it. Okay, so the coordinate plane, I'm just going to reveal all this rather than draw it out, but I'll show you the best way to draw it out. Actually, this might be a little bit overwhelming, so let me call an audible and draw it out for you. Okay, so we have here a few different things. On your page, draw for me this axis here. Nice vertical line, and then a horizontal line. It should be about the same distance in any direction. Now, you do want to draw arrows at the end of each of these lines. They are not line segments. They go on forever and ever. And this line up on top, please always write Y. Why, you might ask? This is the y-axis. This is the y vertical line. This is how we're going to measure things. And this over here, put X. Okay. Now, this is our coordinate grid. Our coordinate grid is made up of our y and x axes, and it has different lines. You can go through and label, right? This is 1, 2, 3. This is going to be positive 1, 2, 3. This on the y-axis going down is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Or going to the left on the x-axis, we also have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, so on and so forth. You obviously can go up to infinity and beyond, but you don't need to do that. Okay, now these axes, let me just make sure that I have what I, yep, okay. So these axes are split up into 4 different components, 4 different groups. These groups are called quadrants. Quadrants are spelled Q-U-A-D. Quadrant, R-A-N-T, quadrant. This, in the top right, is quadrant 1. It's always shown with Roman numerals, so that's how I'm going to do it. Quadrant 1. Now, the other thing that we will be measuring is points. So each of these intersections are different points. And the way that we label them, we label our points in parentheses. We have our x value, comma, our y value. So we measure things horizontally first and then vertically. So if we're trying to find this point, for example, well, horizontally, we're going to come, okay, so it lines up with our x value, right? Our x value at positive 3, comma, our y value is at positive 2. So 3, comma 2 is this value. Now, if you think you might forget where it's going horizontally, vertically, that's okay. It's not abnormal. But make sure that you remember that these go alphabetically. X comes before y. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and we don't need to worry about Z. So X always comes before Y. Our X is horizontal, Y is positive. That's just the way it is. Top right is quadrant 1. Our X and Y values are both positive. So no matter what, our X values here are always going to be positive, and our Y values are always going to be positive. So quadrant 1 is identified having positive X and positive Y values. That's the way it always is. Moving to the left, this is quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. And here are X and Y values. Well, our X values are negative, but our Y values are still positive. So quadrant 1, 2, 3, it moves kind of like a C. I'm just going to label this Q3. Quadrant 3, here both my X values and my Y values are negative. And then finally quadrant 4, 1V. It's 1 before 5. So quadrant 4, we have positive X values, but negative Y values. Okay, so these 4 quadrants make up our coordinate grid. Again, with the coordinate grid, we're trying to clarify. We're trying to organize information. We are going to want to graph data, and this is how we do it in an organized fashion. Now, an important point to know is right here. The point where the two axes, that's plural for axis, axes, the point where they intersect, that's known as the origin. So this point here, 0, 0, is the origin. Think original, origin, right here, right? Y-axis, oh, and the x-axis. Okay, all right. Moving on. I have kind of talked about this ordered pairs. And this, so ordered pairs consist of 2 numbers, right? Our x value, comma, our y value, right? X, comma, y. And these show a location or a point on the coordinate plane, x, comma, y. So if I was talking about this, well, the ordered pair for this point is -6, comma, -5. Right? They're both negative. We know they're in quadrant 3 because they're over in this sector over here, right? Which goes on infinitely that way and infinitely this way. So all the way over here, that's quadrant 3. But this ordered pair is -6, comma, -5. Okay. Okay, now, I'll give you guys a moment to write down this information. Yes, please do create another grid, another coordinate plane. I call them grids. Sometimes you'll hear them as that, as well as coordinate plane. Same thing. It's just talking about these 2 axes together. And then plot those points. Now, the question is, what are the coordinates of point A? Well, again, we see for point A, let's see, hold on a second. I'll just put my ducky there for a second. Maybe I'll put him this way. Okay, so point A, again, we measure x first and then our y values. So point A lines up with my x value at 2, and my vertical value is at 4. They're both positive. So the point is 2, comma 4, right? 2, oh, that's gross. What a weird little thing of lint. 2, comma 4. So 1, 2, comma 4. Now what you can do, and I'll show you for point B, is you could count 1, 2, 3. So you could start at the origin and count over 1, 2, 3 till you line up. So my x value is positive 3. And then again, I'm going to count to line up with point B. 1, 2, 3, but I'm counting negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. So point B is at positive 3, comma, negative 3. Now, this isn't one of those things where a negative cancels out a negative. No, none of that. The values here are organized, ordered, and labeled clearly, so that way we could just plot out what it reads. You don't need to overthink this. Just tell me what it reads. Okay, point C now. Let's see. Point C is, okay, so my x value, right, I start there, is I'm beginning at the origin, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. But the y value, it does not rise or fall. So the y value is here at the origin. Well, here at the origin, the y value is 0. So my point C is at negative 4, comma 0. Okay, now, on your graph, please graph these following points. W, X, Y, Z. Go ahead, pause this. I'm going to plot them. Pause the video, or you could watch my process. So for point W, my X value is 0, and my Y value is positive 3. So 1, 2, 3. Right there is where we'll find W. X is at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 2, 1, 2. You see how it's valuable to have graphing paper. If you don't, it's not going to hurt you too bad. You're just going to make sure that you label these clearly, your lines nice and clearly. Okay, point Y is at negative 3, 1, 2, 3, and negative 5, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, now, negative 5 isn't labeled here, but I know it's one step beyond 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Booyah, right there. That's point Y. And then Z is at 1, 2, 3. Negative 1, 2, 3. Oop, right here, negative 4. That's point Z. All right, guys, those are your notes for today. I will come out with a video on your quiz. Yes, you do have a quiz as well. Okay, love you guys. Bye.